What we're seeing currently with the Credit Suisse is a distinct issue, and it's a problem. Its problems are not related to the current economic situation, the current economic environment. The Treasury, I should say, more broadly, is having conversation with their counterpart.
That was White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday downplaying Credit Suisse's decline and its relation to the U.S. economy. Lee Carter, Nancy Tengler, both here this morning. Lee, your reaction?
I just think that one of the biggest problems this administration has is they feel incredibly out of touch with the way people are viewing the world. For them to say that there's no correlation, that there's no connection between these two, makes people feel like they don't get it. The problem is right now, people are seeing this economic sort of ripple effect. They see it as connected. They feel very, very pessimistic right now. When you think even how CFOs look at it, 28% of CFOs say that they plan to diversify as a result of what happened in the banks. When you talk to investors, 55% of them are saying, I feel worse about the economy than I did last week before all of this happened. And so what you have right now is a little bit of a panic. I don't want to overstate it, but investors are really concerned. And then you have this White House and you have Yellen out there saying nothing to see here. These issues aren't related. Everything's fine. In many ways, it dismisses the concern of investors. So then what happens? Investors are left wondering what they should do. Left to their own devices, they're going to start moving to cash. There's going to be other problems that are going to come as a result of that. And I think this administration is out of touch. If they would just show empathy, if they would just say, look, we understand that people are really concerned that these issues are contained, but here's what we're going to do about it. But they won't address the concern, the root cause of what's going on here. And I think that is causing so much of the problem that we're seeing in the minds of investors.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think part of the root cause is this ESG agenda. Nancy, here's Kim Strassel from the Wall Street Journal this morning. She says the politics don't end there. Even a junior banking regulator should have picked up on Silicon Valley Bank's distress, but that's apparently a grade above San Francisco Federal Reserve President Mary Daly. She and her team have spent more time of late focused on hypothetical climate risk than the real risk of bank failures. What woke overseer wants to clamp down on the darling of clean tech banking? So it's, yes, there were real issues with Silicon Valley Bank. There are real issues with Credit Suisse. But underlying all of this is this climate change agenda, making the banking sector believe that there's some kind of pot of gold sitting there for those banks who invest in all clean related technologies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first of all, it's not the Fed's mandate to focus on the environment. That's point number one. And then point number two is, I think, not just American public, but American small business owners like myself are really tired of this kind of cronyism where you can not manage your bank balance sheet. I mean, that was banking 101, Maria. You match your assets with your liabilities. They knew deposits were leaving in the fall and late summer, and yet they paid bonuses, and the CEO, as the congressman pointed out, sold stock. And all the while, we're hearing that, that they're focused on the ESG issues. I mean, it goes so far as that when the Russians shot down our drone, our response was, that's unprofessional, it was bad for the environment. I mean, enough of this.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, reporters are slamming the White House now over President Biden not taking any questions. Ladies, watch this.
You're going to have an opportunity, or your colleagues will have an opportunity to ask questions during the pool spray of the Oval, at the Oval that happen every time a head of state visits. But again, this is coordinated. That's not true. He's answered questions.
We get yelled at.
It's not. Here's.
But shouted down when we're in the other. Shout at us to get out.
I hear you guys. I hear you guys. I hear you guys.
What do you think, Lee? Ireland's prime minister will be at the White House later today. We'll see.
We have some big questions for the president, and in these moments, we need to hear directly from him. And it's very difficult to try and ask these kinds of questions when he's hosting somebody else. He needs to be addressing the American people about what they're most concerned about. Again, more than half Americans concerned about their finances. He needs to open himself up in this moment.